The following program is sponsored by The Greek, Ely's Radio Shack dealer at 570 Altman in downtown Ely, and brought to you as a public service by Georgetown Media in Ely, Nevada. White Pine County Commission meeting, September 27th, 2021.
They changed the rules. He's the champ. So I left him there for the house members to have. Oh, it's him. It's jumping on mine. That was mine. I've been in cigars.
Tell you what, that was the craziest thing I ever heard in my life.
Next time.
That was, hey, how you doing this morning?
That was above and beyond.
Oh my gosh, and then some.
Yeah.
Ready when you are, Richard.
Okay, Travis is on call outside. Good morning and welcome to the regular scheduled White Pine County Commission meeting on this Wednesday, October 27th. Would you all please stand and join us in the pledge? And Lori, why don't you lead us today?
Thank you. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, as is normal, the first moment is silence, prayer, meditation, whatever you'd like to say. Okay, we'll open the meeting, and first thing is Commissioner Godon is here. He's just on a call out of his vehicle, so he will be here in just a few minutes. But in the meantime, we'll open the meeting with public comment. Is there any public comment on the phone today, Mike? Anyone on the phone? Is there anyone in the audience with public comment? Audience is kind of small today, so I see none.
Chairman, I received a letter.
Okay.
I did pass it out, and there are copies available at the front. Would you like me to read it into the record?
Please do.
Okay. To whomever it may concern, the intersection of Opal Drive and Bobcat Drive needs to be a four-way stop. Members of the Mineral Heights, the two of us included, have concerns about the lack of regulation being enforced in our neighborhood. Drivers are constantly running the stop signs on Opal Drive, speeding through the area, and have almost hit our children and vehicles. High school drivers are a majority of the problem before school, on lunch breaks, and after school. However, the careless driving is not only that age group. The speed limit on Bobcat Drive is 15 miles per hour. However, vehicles constantly do not follow this. We've requested patrols to decrease the reckless driving in the area, but the Sheriff's Department is not always available to patrol during the higher risk times. We have a lot of children who live in Mineral Heights, including a preschool, homeschooled children, and children that play outside nearly all day long. These kids have been taught to look both ways and listen for vehicles because you cannot always see them coming up the hill and round the corner headed to Mineral Drive from our area of Great Basin College. Even doing so, they are at risk of being hit by a speeding car, as it would be too late by the time a car even realized there was a child crossing the road. Please consider your options on how we can protect our children on the roadways, specifically at Bobcat Drive and Opal Drive. Whether it be a four-way stop, crosswalks, whatever it takes, something needs to happen before an injury does. Thank you for your time, Emery and Melissa Crump.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else on the phone or any other correspondence? If not, I see no name. George, you're up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You need to turn up your sound system. Mr. Chairman, on your agenda item 1B2, you're to consider the approval of a letter of support for the Ely Ranger District listed request for project funding from SIPMA Round 19. On the South Shell Restoration Project, there's a request to rehabilitate and close between 10 and 15 miles of unauthorized road, yet nothing is identified. On the Iroquois Watershed Restoration Project, there's a proposed to rehabilitate and close approximately 5 miles of unauthorized road, again, yet there's nothing identified. Commission and the public must have a clear understanding of where those so-called unauthorized roads are. I don't see any map in your packet. Mr. Chairman, your planning commission is failing to provide public information as allowed by the Nevada Open Meeting Law. Again, the single biggest detriment to growth in White Pine County and the city of Ely is your building inspector who selectively enforces law under color of law. Right behind him is your regional planning commission that fails to follow up on concerns presented, and there is no investigation, no answers provided to the public. Year after year, month after month, something's got to be done with those people. Save the taxpayers hundreds of thousands of dollars and eliminate the inspector and that board. After this last storm, I discovered I still have 2 leaks on my building. Your building inspector signed off on a pathetic job. He or you, or the city, need to reimburse me for the repair. I don't want to hear FU, UF&P again from any public employee that I have to buy a permit for to repair my building and then get signed off by a pathetic job. God's changed. Mr. Chairman, nothing has happened on the corner of my property on 7th and Great Basin Boulevard. The state has left me with a 1-foot drop on the corner, doesn't meet ADA. There are numerous locations throughout the project that don't meet ADA. Your building inspector, your engineer is not addressing that. I don't care if it is a state project. It's a federal highway and it must meet minimum code. Mr. Chairman, I requested in the past a complete list of parking permits that the county has taken out and also received from the city of Ely and the Nevada Department of Transportation. In particular, in the area of the new courthouse, jail, sheriff's office. Recently, the NDOT and city engineer took away my ability to park vehicles alongside my walkway, stating that I didn't have a permit. I don't like selective enforcement. I haven't seen any permit as of this particular meeting. I don't like games. You either get rid of that engineer, you tell the state they gotta be equal and fair with everybody. Don't go put me off. They ruin the access to my property. It's commercial property. I pay a higher rate than anyone else that isn't in my category.
Okay,
We
George,
need some answers.
your 3 minutes are up. Thank you very
Okay,
much.
you know what happened at the Murray Street
Your 3
project?
minutes are up, George.
Yeah,
Yeah. We're not gonna go there.
George, that's it.
We
Thank
need
you.
accountability
Thank you.
from everybody.
Okay, we are now at our 9:00. Is there any other public comment, excuse me? Any public comment in the building? Is there anyone else on the phone that would like to speak? This is public comment. Hearing none, seeing none, we're gonna move forward. We're going to open the county commission meeting on page 2, item A. It's a 9:05 road commission meeting. Item 1 is discussion only on the primary and secondary roads within White Pine County and county facilities completed and future project communications with corporations and government agencies. Martin Trout.
Good morning.
Good morning, Martin.
One more.
So, road maintenance activities have included road maintenance on 30 Mile, Little Oklahoma, Cape Valley, Madier Creek, Long Valley, Tin Creek, Gibson Road, Lung Dump Road, 12 Mile Road, and the Cross Timber subdivision. We've been busy working on washouts, repairs in Pleasant Valley, Antelope Valley, and Spring Valley. We have staked the boundaries of a new gravel pit on the Polk Road, WP7, which is between Nye County and Eureka County. We're pushing stockpile material there and screening gravel. Bog seal and chip seal projects and helping out the city of Ely have been completed. NDOT striped the center lines of the Ruth Highway and the Duck Creek Highway. And we finished screening sand for NDOT in trade. We cleaned culverts in Pleasant Valley, Antelope Valley, Spring Valley, and on Shelbourne Pass. And cleaned cattle guards in Pleasant Valley, Antelope Valley, and Spring Valley. A total of 5 road inspections was invoiced to for WP5 and 1177 and 1204 to Western Gold, or Western Oil, I'm sorry. And then we hauled water on WP5 with 2 water trucks for a total of 3 days, and was also invoiced to Western Oil. McGill Street's RTC slurry seal was completed. Valley gutter replacement on Avenue F, Sunbeam Coal Road, has been completed. We've prepped all the snow plows for winter operations. And at this time, the city of Ely owes White Pine County 314 hours per the county city assist agreement.
Anybody else got anything from Martin on this report? I'd like to, with this last snowstorm and rainstorm, were we able to maintain the roads, and were there any other problems on?
Like I said, with some of this rain that we had gotten, we were busy working on washouts and cleaning out culverts that become plugged and cattle guards that got filled in because of washouts. And but even with that said, it's been so dry out there. So a lot of areas where we don't have water available to us, we haven't been able to get to. So at the next road commission, we'll report further on that, but with a lot of the rain that we got on Monday, we have pretty much all of our graders out now working on areas where we don't have water resources. So that's coming along pretty good.
Thank you.
I was up the Cave Valley Road on Sunday, and with as dry as it's been, I was pleasantly surprised just how good that road was. I expected it to be in tough shape with as dry as it's been, but you guys have done a good job holding that together.
Yeah, thank you. So the continuing the MAC chloride project on the Cave Valley Road from Highway 50, 10 miles to the south, so basically the Willow Creek, has really drastically reduced the cost to maintain that road. I did get a call last weekend on Saturday concerning the Cave Valley Road south of Willow Creek to the county line. So Sunday, I drove it myself and found that, yes, it is rough in spots, but again, it's been so dry that we haven't been able to do anything with it. But there's no blowout areas. There's no areas of bug dust or anything like that, so that was good. With this rain that we received on Monday, I checked the road yesterday, all of a sudden way too wet to work. So, but we're hopefully with the sunshine yesterday and today, I plan on having 2 blades on that section of road starting tomorrow.
Sounds good. Yeah, I thought it was in a lot better shape than I expected. With as dry as it's been, I expected to be up to my doors in bug dust, and it just wasn't that way.
Anyone else? Thank you, Martin. Item 2 is just it's a ratification of the decision to close 8th Street and Clark between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. for the Pumpkin Chunkin' Annual Event on Saturday, October 23rd. As you know, that event was held last weekend, and we got this letter out, and the road department was able to block that road, and this is just a ratification of the decision to do that. So I look for a motion to ratify that decision.
Motion to,
Motion by
second.
Travis, second by Lori. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, none, pass unanimous. Item 3 has been pulled, so we are not gonna have a discussion on that. The person who put that in pulled it out, so item 3 is not going to be heard today. Item 4 on page 2 is discussion for possible action to approve of the minutes from the road commission meeting held September 22nd, 2021.
Motion to approve September 22nd,
Motion.
road department minutes, sorry.
Motion by Lori,
Second.
second by Shane. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none, pass unanimous. We're going ahead of our next couple items, which are timed, the 9:30 and the 10, so we'll stay on page 2. And we'll go to item 2, which is items from elected officials and department heads. And B1 is Catherine Backert, treasurer. Discussion update on the treasurer's monthly reports for August and September 2021. Catherine, are you on the phone? Catherine?
I did not see her.
Yeah, can we do this, Elizabeth, without her on the phone?
Yeah, sure, we can go ahead and do this,
This was
it's
last
just a
time.
discussion update, and it's just, you should have her reports there for August and September in your backup material. So if there are any questions, I can get those back to her, if you would like.
Anyone got a question on the monthly reports from Catherine? Hearing none? Okay, motion by Ian.
It's a discussion
Oh,
update on
excuse me.
Okay, that was discussion. Okay, thanks.
Motion to approve the discussion.
Yeah, there you go. All right, we are now on page 3, item 2, and it's under Sheriff Henry. Item A is discussion for possible action to approve of the White Pine County Sheriff's Office quarterly in-custody death report.
Commissioners, it's just my quarterly report to report to you that we had no in-custody deaths in our facility.
Good job.
And you did that by moving and not,
Yeah,
Everything's
we're in
done.
a new facility and things are moving forward, so,
How's it working out? Is it nice as you'd hoped, huh?
yes, far, far better.
Oh,
Yeah.
wonderful. Great.
That's great.
okay, then I'll look for a motion to approve the sheriff's report.
Move to approve as presented?
Motion by Shane,
Second?
second by Lori. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Pass unanimous. Item 3, Nicole Baldwin, County Clerk. Item A is discussion for possible action, the approval to appoint Jesse Murdoch to the vacant seat on the Regional Planning Commission.
Yes, Jesse put in his application for that vacant seat. He's the only one who applied, and he's asking for your approval.
Can't think of anybody better. I move to
Absolutely.
approve.
He's been
Motion
on-
by Shane,
Second.
second by Lori. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank
None.
you.
Pass unanimous. The next one is Lori Romero. She called and asked me, she's out of town, asked me if I would present these. They're just normal grants, so item A is a discussion for possible action, the approval to accept the Aging and Disability Services Grant application in the amount of $31,876 for congregate meals with a $4,781 match to come from taxes the senior center receives. Anyone got a question about that, Lori? Okay, I'll look for a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Motion by Travis, second by Ian. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none, pass unanimous. Item B under Lori is discussion for possible action, the approval to accept the Aging and Disability Services Division grant application in the amount of $51,136 for homebound meals with a match of $7,670 coming from taxes the senior center receives. Anyone got a question or anything about that?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Lori,
Second.
second by Shane. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Pass unanimous. We got plenty of time to get yours in. It looks like Elizabeth, just going straight down. Staying on page 3. Item 2 is under Elizabeth Francis, Finance Director. Item A is discussion update. Reminder of the Justice Center project ribbon cutting ceremony followed by the public tours and reception.
Thank you, and I handed out to everybody an agenda for that ceremony that will take place this afternoon. So the public ribbon cutting will start at 2 p.m. with public tours and refreshments to follow. There are copies of the agenda in the back of the room for the public. I hope everybody will attend. We do have two individuals from the legislature who will be attending, and that's Assemblyman John Ellison and Assemblywoman Maggie Carlton. We have not heard back from the governor's office, so we assume at this point he will not be attending because the sheriff has not heard from his security detail either, so.
Right, just a few moments ago, I got a call back from the governor's office, who I was in touch with the last couple of days. He's down south, regrets the fact that he cannot be here. He would be happy to issue a proclamation or anything that we'd like to have, but he will not be here in person. And as we're speaking of this, Senator Gokashia, I've been in touch with him. He's working on a big project for White Pine County, which is reapportionment. He's in committee meetings today in Carson City and Fallon. He regrets the fact that he cannot be here because Pete's always been good about being here, but this redistricting of the state is more than important to White Pine County as we move forward. And in the next short while, there'll be a special session to approve the redistricting map, and White Pine County is gonna be, a lot of interesting things are gonna come to White Pine County. So that's why Pete will not be here. And I appreciate Maggie Carlton, who was the chairman of the Ways and Means Committee, which is really one of the last major hurdles to get funding, and she helped us get through that, so I'm happy that she'll be there. We'll introduce her this afternoon.
Wonderful.
Okay, that was an update, and Elizabeth will be ready to roll at 1 o'clock VIP tour, 2 o'clock ribbon cutting ceremony, and after this ribbon cutting will be refreshments and a public tour.
Yes.
Okay. Anybody got any questions or anything they want to add to that? Moving on, we'll go to item B. Item B is discussion for possible action, the approval of, for Public Works Director to work with District Attorney's Office to negotiate contract for architectural services on the Community Services Building with the top-ranked architect, Lombard Conrad for Architects of Nevada Limited, LCA, based on the statement of qualification process and negotiated cost proposal in the amount of $576,000.
Thank you, and this is an item for the Public Works Director, but he asked that I represent this to you. We did go through the process, we did receive a proposal from our top-ranked architect, who was Lombard Conrad. We did negotiate the price is $576,000 for those initial services. So this is for him to move forward with the DA's office to go ahead and negotiate that contract. And I assume, and it is my understanding from Lombard Conrad, that we will be using a standard AIA contract, American Institute of Architects contract, which is usually what we go to for these type of contracts. But this is just permission for Bill to go ahead and work with the DA's office to get that contract in place based on this pricing.
Excellent. And you're good with that, James?
Yes.
Okay, anybody got any questions of that possible contract? If not, I'll look for a motion to approve.
Motion to approve as presented.
Motion by Lori,
Second.
second by Ian. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Passed unanimous. Item C, discussion for possible action, the approval of the quarterly grant reports. Elizabeth?
Thank you, and those were presented in your backup materials. And I'm happy to answer any questions or take any questions you have regarding those reports back to the department heads responsible for those particular grants. Otherwise, I would just ask for your approval on them as presented.
I do have a question.
Okay.
Where we came in under budget on the first McGill sewer thing, I think we were doing, engineering type stuff. And will that roll over to the second one? So
No.
far as the liner?
No, that doesn't, they're independent grants. And so money that remains unspent at the end of the project goes back to CDBG pool for reapplication.
Okay.
And it doesn't just automatically get
I was hoping.
rolled forward into the next phase, sorry.
Because it was still on McGill, so I thought, why not, you know?
We can always ask, but no.
Yeah.
We can always ask and they can say no. Yeah.
Okay, that was it. Motion to approve?
Motion by Lori,
Second.
second by Shane. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Passed unanimous. We got 3 minutes. Are the next two items gonna take any length of time, Elizabeth? That Snipplema project?
No, I can go
Okay.
through that very
Alright.
quickly.
We'll
if
stay,
you want me
we'll
to.
stay right in line here, stay on page 3, under Elizabeth, item D. Discussion for possible action, the evaluation and determination of final ranking of the Southern Nevada Public Lands Management Act, SNPLMA, round 19 projects.
Okay, so, thank you very much. The last page of what I handed out to you that looks like this has your action taken. I believe this was back in July of this year regarding the SNPLMA projects. The NNRY project got derailed because they actually found out that they don't own the High Line, which was the proposed project. So I instructed Tabitha to go ahead and move forward with your number 4 ranked project, which was the rec center. And so I would just like to know, because Marriage Field and Broadbent Park were tied with 4 and 4 votes, and then the rec center came in third. How would you like us to present those to SNPLMA when we do the application? Did you want Marriage, Broadbent, and the rec center, or Broadbent, Marriage, and the rec center? Or how would you like us to go ahead and present those as the county commission ranking for that?
I looked them over and with the NNRY being ousted because it meet criteria. And I looked at the remaining 3. Marriage Field certainly was right up at the top, but I am really interested in the, I know it's gonna cost us some money to maintain, but a full rec center that would have handball, racquetball, basketball, and a lot of communities have a rec center. And if we can get one built through SNPLMA funding, my opinion, this is just mine, I think that would be a real asset to the community and go a long ways. And, you know, we already have couple of public pools, we have softball fields, we're getting Heritage Park. But what would go hand in hand with that, my opinion, again, I think that Marriage Field should stay there, maybe not number 1. I'd like to see the rec center move to number 1, Marriage Field move to number 2, and Broadbent down to number 3. I don't know what qualifies Broadbent Park, and you know, it goes through the vetting process, but as just me alone, as we reroute them because of what's happened with the NNRY, in reviewing it, what I think prioritize would be Rec Center 1, Marriage Field 2, Broadbent Park 3. Anyone else?
I'm good in marriage with Broadbent. You know me in new buildings, I probably won't do the rec center, but
Okay.
it's just me.
Yeah, it will cost us to run and maintain a new building, but that's why we're here, is for each of us to maybe rethink before we turn in the final listing of our round 19. So you've heard from me, you heard from Travis. Does anybody else have an opinion on the rec center, Marriage Field, and Broadbent? Those are the 3 we got left.
It seems like the simplest thing and logical thing is what Elizabeth sounds like you were wanting to do anyway, which is just to bump up the order of what was already kind of discussed. You know, one gets bumped out, well then
Move up the
we're
next
on-
Just
one.
move
moves
to the
up,
next
yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm only saying that because, like, I'm far enough removed from that discussion, I don't know where my head was at, and I trust that we had a pretty great and lengthy discussion about it, so wherever we landed was probably right, and I don't know if I wanna dig that back up again. But, it would take me a while to kinda get my head back into where we were at with the merits of these things, but, I feel like just bumping it up makes the most sense.
So with the tie, Elizabeth, how would that be? What would our
That's-
ranking be?
As long as you are in agreement that we're going to do projects 1, 2, and 4 because 3 was disqualified, I just need to know whether you want, or what order you want those in. So do you want, if we're gonna just bump the 1 up, do you want me to list Marriage, Broadbent, and Rec Center in that order to the SNPLMA board, understanding that that would be the order, or do you want Broadbent before Marriage?
Right, so you're asking us if we wanna reorder our priorities as well as adding the 4th one.
Well, I'm asking because it's not reordering the priorities, the vote was tied at the last meeting.
Okay.
So I just need to know between 1 and 2, do you wanna keep it Marriage, Broadbent, or do you wanna reverse those?
You know, it's my Marriage's Field is well overdue for an upgrade.
Yep.
That's a park, a complex that is used as much or more than any other complex in the county. And if you've taken your life in your hands and driven across the parking lot, you realize that it's aging. And so I would like to see that kept number one.
I
As
agree.
far as two and three, I'm comfortable leaving them in the order that we had them at the last meeting.
I am too.
Okay. So listening to the consensus of the board, it would be Marriage Field number 1, Broadbent number 2, and the Rec Center number 3.
Can we do two motions? I don't wanna vote for the rec center, but I like 1 and 2.
Well,
That's just
you
me.
can,
No,
can he
Travis.
abstain? Can he abstain?
Well, so if there's not a real reason for an abstention. I mean, if you, yeah, I mean, I really don't see how we could break that out into multiple motions. I think we just have to have somebody who agrees with this, make the motion, somebody second, and then if you don't agree, you can
All right, that's
vote
fine.
against.
I'll vote no.
And I just wanna point out, with what Travis has indicated, that yes, if we do go forward with the rec center now, if they do award the rec center and you decide you don't want it, you can always decline the funding, but if you do accept the funding, you do accept the responsibility to operate and maintain that facility in perpetuity. Okay,
What's the cost?
so
This is not a time for public comment.
So let's do this, look for a motion, because I think the consensus was what we already said. And let's see if we can get a motion to approve Marriage Field number 1, Broadbent Park number 2, and the Rec Center number 3, if we can get that and then vote on it and see how that goes. Is that okay, James?
That is okay.
I
Okay.
will make that motion.
Okay, motion by Ian to do as I just said, Marriage Field, Broadbent Park, Rec Center. Do I have a second? Second. Second by Shane. Any further comment? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nope.
Okay, so Shane, Lori, Richard, and Ian, yes. Travis, no. Okay. Then I will go to item E, which is finish you off here, Elizabeth, while we're on a roll here. Item E is discussion for possible action and approval to appoint James Beecher to the White Pine County Audit Committee to fill the vacant position.
thank you, this position was vacated when the previous district attorney resigned, and we need to go ahead and reappoint someone, and James has agreed to fill that position.
All right.
How many times does he slam his fingers in his desk drawer to get him to do that?
I was wondering how to relate that.
I would move to approve.
Motion by Shane,
Second.
second by Ian. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, none. So let's go back to page 2. Page 2, a 9:30 timed item. It's natural resources. Item 1 is discussion information only regarding the White Pine County Natural Resource and Public Lands Issues Tracking List. Jeremy Drew. Jeremy, you on the phone?
I'm Chair, can you hear me all right?
Yeah, you're good.
All right. For your record, Jeremy Drew, Principal Resource Specialist with Resource Concepts. It's actually been a relatively quiet month, and I'm halfway afraid to say that in regards to natural resources and public lands, because there's been a lot going on. So I wanted to give just a quick update on a couple of things, and then, as always, I'm open for question and discussion. So last month, we approved the sign-on letter for the Coalition for Healthy Nevada Lands in terms of the wild horse and burro situation. That letter has been submitted to the Secretary of Interior. We're waiting to hear back if there's any follow-up. It sounds like there's been some internal BLM guidance about trying to return more horses to the range after fertility control, which at this point is about the last thing we need unless we get to appropriate management level. So we continue to kind of track this and what's going on behind the scenes with NACO and some of our neighboring counties, and we'll continue to kind of update as we hear where the new administration is going on this and where Congress is going to go on the wild horse and burro issue. But I think the sign-on was very timely. As it relates to the proposed NASA withdrawal in Railroad Valley, Nevada Association of Counties just submitted a letter to NASA and BLM supporting the stances of White Pine, Nye, and Lincoln counties in terms of the opposition to the withdrawal. In talking with Lorinda Wickman with Nye County, it sounds like they do have a meeting with NASA and BLM in early November to discuss some alternate approaches that may get NASA what they need in terms of keeping their calibration out on the playa, but not a full-blown withdrawal that would result in limited land uses and potential for mineral and fluid mineral development in that area. So hopefully that's a positive sign. I know BLM's been a little bit apparently befuddled by NASA's request for a full withdrawal, because I think there's some other ways they can go about it. So hopefully that's trending in the right direction, but I think we'll know in the months to come. We had anticipated the Pine and Wawa Valley groundwater project draft EIS coming out a couple weeks ago. It is still not out, so my suspicion is that BLM, likely at the Washington level, Washington office, is having some review issues and internal issues. I don't know if that bodes well for us or poorly for us, but as long as this kind of keeps getting pushed back, it's probably a benefit to the county. My hunch is, like any big federal EIS, is it will come out right before the holiday season, and we'll have some work to do in December and January. But so far, nothing is out on that. We will keep our ears open, and if it looks like they're going to do suggest a short comment period, we may ask for a 90-day minimum comment period, because it's going to be a monster of an EIS. You had a update last meeting from White Pine Pump Storage. It sounded to me like they still anticipate moving forward with their EIS process and application through FERC towards the end of this year. They updated you on where they stood in terms of the geotechnical investigation, and I think they've got the weekend to work on that, and then they run into the sage grouse restrictions. So nothing, we haven't done anything on that for a couple months now, since the EA closed on the geotechnical portion of that. Under future items, just a couple of things to update you on. This BLM conceptual statewide resource management plan appears to be moving forward. The BLM has hired a project manager on that. We continue to monitor this very closely through NACO. In fact, it sounds like NACO will be interviewed in the coming months as one of the parties that will be in on kind of the initial assessment phase of this to express any concerns with the process, and really try to point out some of the things that we like and maybe some of the things that aren't working in the local RMP. So I think we're in a good position there. We suggested to BLM that we want to have a work group of folks through NACO that are familiar with the RMPs throughout the state, so that we can provide them some good feedback before they get too far into this. The other thing to mention, I had listed the Swamp Cedar ACEC management plan here. I have not heard anything specific to that, but there was a recent article actually in the Humboldt Sun that indicated there's a movement to try and get some sort of a national designation for that area in Spring Valley where the swamp cedars are. So the concepts that were relayed in that article are either one, a new unit as part of Great Basin National Park. If it went that way, I guess my concern would be with other multiple uses and how they might be managed going forward, because obviously the park manages quite a bit differently than the BLM does. And then the second alternative that I've seen floated, or that was suggested in the article, was the potential for a national monument designation. And so certainly something I think we want to keep an eye on and keep our ears open to. I don't think there's anything super formal at this point, but my hunch is it's something that will ramp up as we get into 2020, and something I think the county wants to be engaged in, given the importance of Spring Valley for multiple use and a whole host of reasons. Chairman, that is my update, but as always, I'm happy to take questions.
I have a question on that last item. Would that affect hunting? It sounds to me like if the Great Basin National Park and these things get walked into land grabs, so to speak, would hunting still be available? What kind of an impact would that have on outside activities? You know, how they regulate the usages of land and restrict the access to it. Would that be Would that be part of this?
Chairman, that's a fantastic question, and that, I guess, gets to my point, the brass tacks of my concern. If you look at Great Basin National Park, at this point, there is no hunting allowed. And I also don't believe that there is any grazing, at least on a consistent basis. Both of those issues would be significant concerns for me from a county standpoint and a statewide standpoint, quite frankly. That's why I really wouldn't be too favorable to extension of the park because of the management that we see in Great Basin National Park, specifically in regards to those two areas or uses. A national monument designation, while not ideal, at least you can get some language written in there that preserves livestock grazing, preserves open public access. And so if it went that route and the county were at the table, I think we could get some more favorable language in there to at least maintain those uses. But quite frankly, both special designations would come with a level of risk because you're going from BLM, management under kind of the multiple use doctrine to a more specific preservation designation, and that always concerns me.
Thank you. Anyone else got a question?
I have a comment. I've been contacted by the Great Basin Transmission, the SWIP North, and they've asked to be put on the agenda for the first meeting, November 10th. So I'll be working with them. They will be doing a presentation update. They were the ones that did from the Robinson substation to Vegas, Great Basin Transmission / LS Power. That might be more familiar to some of you. And after that, after the presentation, they're looking for, and I'm not sure just yet whether it's a resolution of support or a letter of support. And so I will be finding out more about that too. And I just want to comment, it is, I am so thrilled that we have Jeremy on board. It is evident that we were letting a lot of things go by. And I feel like that with his help, we're staying on top of what is going on with our natural resources. So thank you, Jeremy, and thank you to this board bringing Jeremy on. So I just wanted to say that. Okay, I'm done. We can go on to the next one.
Anyone else got a comment what Jeremy's first report was during this natural resource discussion? I hear none, Jeremy, right now, so we're going to move on to item 2 of yours.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Item 2 under you is a discussion for possible action, the approval of a letter of support for the Ely Ranger District's list of requests for projects funding from the Southern Nevada Public Land Management Act, SNPLMA, Round 19 allocation. Jeremy?
Yep, Chairman, for your record, Jeremy Drew with Resource Concepts. Just quickly, the Forest Service approached us about writing a letter of support for the projects that they plan to put in for Round 19. You all are blessed, and I know I've said this before, you have a very active and forward-thinking ranger district out there, and so between Acting Ranger Aaron Reala and Jose, they've put together what I think is a really good list of projects here. A nice mix of restoration, outdoor recreation type projects. So just quick bullet points, the South Shell Restoration Project, which is a fantastic project from an ecological standpoint, from my view. Same with the Illapah Watershed Project. Obviously, Illapah is a really important recreational area in the county. Rainier OHV Trail reconstruction, Mount Moriah Trails reconstruction, Kalamazoo Camp reconstruction, a program for youth engagement and natural resources. It kind of gets the kids out and engaged in natural resource management and project implementation. And then a phase 2 Ely District noxious weed and invasive weed inventory treatment and restoration. So in my opinion, all fantastic projects. There's more detail in the list that we provided from the Forest Service. The letter is very simple. It just, provides support, and our hope is that they would use this to turn in with their funding request package. Again, Chair, that's all I had, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, Jose is here in the meeting in person today. I don't know if we can call on him for comments, can we?
I'm
Jose,
just here for questions.
Oh, yes.
He's, yeah, Mr.
Yeah,
Manager.
if anybody has questions, certainly.
Does anyone have a question? I mean, I think Jeremy gave us a real fine update on this. Does this SNP on the 19 deal go along with the one we just voted on for, as far as categorizing our,
It's their own separate thing.
it's their own separate thing?
Yeah,
But
It's still part of the same process, but it's a separate category within that process. So
There's
it
like
doesn't
5,
impact the parks, trails, and natural areas that we apply for.
So what we applied and did just now
It's
is different.
separate
Okay.
from this, although within the same round.
Jose, would you like to come up and say something about it, or do you think Jeremy?
I'm just here for questions.
Okay, does anybody have a question of Jeremy or Jose?
Looks good to me.
Okay,
I'd like to echo what Jeremy stated, that Jose does do a wonderful job. It's nice to have a White Pine County boy there, because he really looks out for us, and man, if you use national forest lands in other areas, it's not nearly as open and welcoming as it is here.
I think that's an echo by this entire commission. Jose, thank you, and your staff, and Jeremy as well. That being said, I'll look for a motion to approve the letter of support for the Ely Ranger District.
Motion to approve?
Motion by Lori,
Second.
second by Shane. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, none, passed unanimous. Okay, we have a 10 o'clock coming up, so let's move on. We don't have much here
Thank you,
today.
Jeremy.
Thanks,
Thank you
Jose.
all.
Thanks, Jose. Have a good day.
Thank you, Jose.
So right now, we're gonna
Happy
go.
Nevada Day.
Yeah, you too. Thanks a lot. Enjoy it. Okay, page 4, I think, is moving along. We've done Elizabeth, so we're at page 4. Next is the consent agenda. Can I have a motion for the consent agenda?
Move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Motion by Shane,
second.
second by Ian. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, none, passed unanimous. Item, under untimed items on page 4, item 4A is discussion for possible action approval of the minutes of the White Pine County Commission meeting held on October 13, 2021. Are there any additions, subtractions, or corrections?
I have some comments.
Okay.
Okay, it's on page 3, the timed agenda. I think that it was in regards to, I think that there was actually a couple of spots that it might have been in. The special use things. Under our zoning, it refers to it as an S for special use. And in our minutes, we have it as an acronym, as an SPU. I think that would be confusing.
Okay?
So either it's special use, which would be like an SP, that S, what is it, SUP? I think, yeah, SP use is the way that you had the acronym in was
Okay.
SPU.
Okay.
So I think that maybe, it might be confusing if people are looking back and forth so far as it being consistent with what we already have.
Sure.
And then, on page 4, I think that there, when we're talking about the pump storage thing, and, Mr. Resta had commented about him having, the BLM right-of-way to be on the road. That was only part of the discussion, because not all the road is BLM. Part of it was the city of Ely, and there was conversation, and Jared Bybee was in the audience, to where the Ely sections of road that pump storage did not have a right-of-way on those. So the right-of-way was specific to the roads on BLM property.
Okay.
So I think that it kind of gives the wrong impression, because there's two entities that are involved. We have the BLM and we have the city of Ely. Yeah, so I just thought if anybody goes to look, that would have been avoided. So that's on
Page four?
page 4, towards the bottom before item F.
Thank you.
Is that it, Lori?
That's it. So I'll make a motion to approve with corrections
Okay, motion by
or
Lori.
changes.
Motion by Lori to approve with corrections, seconded by Ian. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, none, passed unanimous. The next two items are closed session, you got 10 minutes. I think what we're gonna do, I mean, we got nothing else to act on unless we did public comment now. Let's take, I guess we take it. Yeah, pardon me?
We cannot do public
Okay.
comment now.
So I think where we're at, do you wanna close the session now? Close it down and go in, or do you wanna take a 10-minute break and come in and go with our time item at 10 o'clock, and then at the end of the meeting do the,
I mean, both are perfectly valid, it's up to the board, however you want to do it.
I think he's asking if you feel like it's gonna take very long.
That's
No, I mean, it depends on, I mean, it could be a 5-minute situation, would you say?
Yes.
well,
Yeah.
let's do this. Rather than try to push it or try to, let's take a 10-minute break, come back to our 10 o'clock time item, finish that up, and then we'll close the meeting and do like we always do towards the end of the meeting. We'll go forward with it and we'll close the meeting. How's that? So we'll take a 10-minute break and we'll come back for the 10 o'clock timed item. We'll do that on time. Okay.
This is about to finish this meeting, I think it was.
I'll tell you
But
what.
there was a year we were out here about
Yeah,
10
I can
to 11,
imagine.
I think.
This has been a Georgetown production. George Chat just reporting.